Very, very good football team that we played. We knew that going in. Our thought process was to try to slow them down offensively, which was going to be the number one weapon we felt. That was the running back, Chris Mosley, for the most part. Thought we did a very, very good job with it. When you look at the numbers, they ran 73 plays. We ran 54. We had 197 total yards. We had three turnovers. They only had one. And then those turnovers led to some points where they ended up with 486. Walked out the locker room. Justice Cross, Corey Collier, players of mine as I'm walking to you guys, man. Coach, we got to win for you, coach. I said, no, you got to win for yourselves. But I think at the end of the day, man, we didn't play well enough to win. Obviously, turnovers has not necessarily been the name of our game. Had some today, which led to touchdowns. But we wanted to see some different people work today, and they got their chance, and we'll see how we move forward after that.
Coach, when you have a game like this against a team like North Carolina Central, a non-conference game against a very good team that's been one of the best in HBCU football over the last few years, it's an opportunity for you to turn a negative season into a positive opportunity. But obviously, didn't get the win, lost in convincing fashion. Do you see that as a missed opportunity for y'all to be able to turn around things before y'all jump back into swag play?
Well, I mean, anytime you play, and whether you win or lose, right, they're opportunities, and you lose most of the time. They're missed opportunities. I don't think we saw it as a non-conference game. We just saw it as our next game that we needed to play well and win with, right? Got out, got an early turnover. Those are the things that we wanted to do, trying to keep the ball in front. Thought we did a good job defensively on that first drive. Ended up with a turnover, but I just, you play a team to win, no matter how good they may be or what they've done over the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, their record and what they've done speaks for themselves. And I didn't necessarily need to tell our team that, but we just wanted an opportunity to play again, right? Obviously we had a little sour taste in our mouth when we last played Alabama State. Thought we were going to be playing a game last week. Didn't. Thought we did some things to help our team wise as far as having some new fresh faces in the lineup to see if we would have a spark. But just you see it as a missed opportunity because you didn't win, whether it was convincing fashion or you lost by a point, right? We didn't win, and you play every week to win. Not horseshoes to try to be close or anything like that. You play to win. We didn't, and now we get back in the conference play, right? And for homecoming, and we all know how important that game's going to be for us next week.
Right. Coach, overall, Jack got the start today. Just overall, your assessment of his performance.
Well, I mean, we we wanted to give him an opportunity, right? There was some times that I asked to, if we wanted to make a change, they didn't want to make a change. We wanted to, keep him out there, see what he can do. I thought we did that, right? That was the mindset going in. We didn't want to have a quick trigger with him. We wanted him to, get some of the highs, get some of the lows, and see how he would handle it. And I think that if you ask Jet, he's probably going to be unhappy with his play. But I thought he gave all he could. We had a little more pressure on us than we've seen in the past as far as the games that we've had. But he stepped up, played, took the call, and he worked the entire week with that mindset. So happy with him. Got to see the whole film to see necessarily. I mean, the numbers, they probably tell you that he might not have done a good job, but at the end of the day, you got to watch the film to correctly make the assessment. But I thought he did a good job of getting in there, taking the job, doing the job the whole week. He was treated as the starting quarterback. He did all the extra stuff that you thought would have helped him be successful. You know what I mean? So it wasn't anything of a surprise for him. But again, we gotta get some stability and consistency at that position. Everybody, the teams in our conference that are playing really, really good football, is their quarterbacks are playing consistent football. They're not turning the football over and throwing for a lot of yards, right? So if once we get there, I think our football team will probably be a lot better. But we'll continue to work on it, and I know Coach Burris will continue to work on making sure our quarterbacks at least can get to that highest level.
Keith.
Oh, didn't have my hand raised, but I got a question ready. So keep having things up, Coach.
Yeah.
And you kind of mentioned that, coming out of this game, it wasn't the outcome you were looking for. It's some of what you may have feared. But going into the conference play, what do you take away from this game to really help you prepare to get that last stretch for conference play to try to make a run for anything postseason?
I think similar. We're in a conference right now. It's got to score points. I mean, this is another week. We've had 5 games, and we have one game that we've scored over 30 points. And and you go to the SWAC standings and you look at the SWAC stats, right? The teams that are in first, second place, you go take a look at how many points they're averaging a game, right? So I think that's just the way the conference is this year. If we want to be competitive and successful in this conference, we're going to have to score some points, and then defensively, we're going to have to hold some folks, right? So, just because we have turnovers offensively doesn't mean defensively we can just give up points, right? We've had some opportunity where we can work some sudden change, and we work. That's something that we work a lot on, and just because a turnover happens doesn't mean they can score. We have to find a way defensively to stop some, to stop them. But it's just trying to continue to try to get consistency, and we don't have that. So we'll have to get that because Alcorn State's very very good defense. They're kind of similar to what kind of some of the issues that they were having. Like they're having a tough time scoring some points, and so I guess the team that scores the most will win next week, obviously. But it's going to be somewhere where you got to put about 28, 35 points a game. That's where you got to be right now, especially in this conference. There's no defense for some reason being played in this conference. So offenses have to get better and better and score and score.
Coach,
Yes.
as a coach, how are you going to handle keeping morale up for your players and stuff? Because
I mean, that's a great question. Again, I didn't want to bore them with any coach speak with them after the game. We talked about what we needed to do tomorrow. They handled their business as far as what they need to do treatment wise, and handle what they need to do as far as academically that they need to take care of tomorrow. So I'm not going to BS them, and they know what's at stake. They know we got to play better. Nayron Jenkins stepped up like he always does and talks about what the team needs to do better. He said what he needed to say. We had our break, and then they went and spent time with their families, right? So there's how do you keep the morale up by playing better, preparing them better, keeping them where they need to be, and trying to whenever we do our corrections, make sure we continue to correct them, right? So I think we got a very very solid bunch in there as far as them wanting to win. We got as a coaching staff, continue to try to put them in the best possible situation to win. So, but that's we can't turn the ball over. Defensively, we got to stop them. They seem pretty simple, but that's some things right now that we're not doing, and it's putting us in a really really tough spot, right? And you know how it is right now. You're 1-4, and it's sometimes something bad happens, and now you try to hold the bridge, right? You're trying to hold it together. So, we got to be able to at times, right, make some plays when we need to make plays, right? And that's kind of been what's been a little bit different about this football team. But we're gonna continue to push them. We're gonna keep practicing. We're gonna keep working. And the guys that I have on our football team, they're gonna come to work every single day. And that's all I ask of them. And hopefully our coaching staff understands that. I know they'll understand that. But they'll keep coming. They'll keep coming. That's the kind of guys we have in our locker room.
you have some drops that I know one of the drops would have been a touchdown and everything. I mean,
This is game 5. I think we've had drops, a lot of drops this year. I wish I could go out there and catch them for them. My hands are pretty damn solid, but yeah, they're not. And I can assure you this that the guys that are dropping them ain't trying to drop them. They're trying. They just got to look it all the way in. They're trying to make plays. You get yourself in a situation where you're trying to do more than you can. And you want our guys to trust our training. Trust the training that they go on. They don't drop very many. We're throwing the ball to Speedy Rogers, man. He's got one of the best. He's got some of the best hands on our football team. When we want to get the ball to him, but when you make drops on third down, you got to punt it. And there's some key down, there's some key drops, and we've had some throughout the year. But I don't like to harp on it. Again, I think our guys are trying to do everything they can to win. I don't think they're trying to do things on purpose. They understand the magnitude. Believe me, when they drop it, they are the first ones to realize that they drop it. And I don't think they're trying to do it on purpose. We just got to continue to work with them and continue to work with them on the jugs. And I think Coach Jeffers does a really really good job with them. Just our guys again back to the consistency part because he made a great catch earlier in the game and turned it into 44 yards. And then this one, you're probably correct because I don't know if they catch him if he does catch it. So right now that's sometimes the good teams make those plays, and the teams that are struggling, that might be why they're struggling, right? So let's continue to believe in each other, continue to take care of each other, and continue to trust each other, and then the tide will turn for us.
Coach,
Yes,
what are
sir.
the positives that you could take from this game today
None.
to carry it?
None. 45-7 loss. We got a turnover, but I don't sugarcoat, man. We got beat 45-7. There's not a whole lot of positive to take care of. Maybe that we were healthy, but I can't lie to you. I mean, it's a tough loss for us, but we can't let this game right here that we lose hurt us for next week. So those are some things that we'll have to carry forward. And I apologize for being frank about the
No,
question.
no,
I
you're
mean, but
fine.
that
No, you're
hey,
fine.
man, not a lot to take away. But we didn't win. And next week we got you.
St. Clair.
So, given what we saw from Petty today, does that mean that the QB1 situation is still up in the air at this point, or
Well,
remains unsettled?
I mean, we felt going in that because throughout the year, again, we fifth game of the year, we made the change to go with Jet today, and we wanted him to, whatever success he had, whatever high, low, whatever he had, we wanted to, try to give him the opportunity to fight through it. We come in at halftime. There wasn't even a conversation of whether to change him or not. We were going to go with him, and then he comes out and it's a great drive, gets us 7 points, right? So then we get a tip ball, an interception. So that we'll see what we can do. But I mean, but if we go back to the beginning, the one thing we talk about our quarterbacks, I'm not really. Yeah, I wanted to throw for 400 yards and have 4 touchdown passes, but the biggest thing from our quarterbacks, we got to take care of the football. Right? We got to take care of the football because against a team like that, and those are going to be teams that we face later on this year that are going to be they're going to take advantage of those turnovers. So the quarterback that plays has to be able to take care of the football. Today we didn't. And that might have led to what the score would have been. But we had more turnovers today than we had the first 4 games of the season. So those are things again. Obviously, offensively we can't have. But Coach Burris and I we'll have our we talk every day, and we'll have another conversation tomorrow to see how we're moving forward next.
Jim.
Coach, obviously, with how the season's going right now, there's going to be a lot of outside noise. But just in terms of going into next week, what is the message for the team? Take care of business and Bragg, obviously, on homecoming. It's a game that is very crucial to the season.
Now my understanding, one way to get out of here is lose homecoming and lose the Florida Classic. So haven't done that yet. Got a very very good Alcorn State team coming in here. They're gonna be stingy. They just got to win. We're gonna be reeling a little bit right now, but we got to pick the socks up and get ready to go because it'll be a packed house. Ain't nobody gonna worry about any records. They're coming here to make sure that we win. And all the other stuff that goes on from Monday to Friday. None of that means a whole lot until the game happens on Saturday. So that's what everybody's gonna remember. And so we got to make sure we take care of business on Saturday afternoon.
2 more questions. Gerald.
Coach, so when we were here 2 weeks ago, you were coming off of a 14 loss, got given a free bye week due to the Mississippi Valley game situation, and that gave you extra time to kind of figure out what things you were going to fix with this team. How frustrating is it for you to come back 2 weeks later at home and you get the same result after having an entire week to work on it and make your improvements and assessments?
Extremely. We thought we had a really really good week offensively last week. This week leading up to North Carolina Central, they thought they had some opportunities that they could take advantage of. So again, like I think that we can't turn the ball over. We got to make sure we give the offense great field position. We had a couple errors on the kickoff return team today, things that we discussed and work on. We knew the wind was going to be what it was today, right? We knew that going one way, the wind was going to take the ball, and going the other way, the wind was going to let the ball end up in the end zone. So those are just things that we talked about. We talked about it this morning. We talked about it all week. But apparently we're not talking about it enough. So you got to get back to the drawing board, and it's not like our kids are out there going out and there doing wrong. I always leave that to myself and the coaching staff to make sure that they understand the situation, make sure that they know better, and the guys that are doing it, those are really really smart football players. So we got to make sure that they continue to be smart or stay smart. We got to continue to coach them. We got to continue to coach. We got to continue to coach them, and eventually it'll sink in. But to answer your question, extremely. I thought we had a very very good plan offensively. We had a very, very good plan defensively, and can't take any credit away from Coach Oliver. They got a very, very good football team, and they're team that could probably be representing the MEAC in the Celebration Bowl, and they're rolling. Got a great quarterback, great running back, did a great job defensively, defensive score. So you when you have a team that's struggling like we have been, they came out there and they put it to us, and didn't leave anything out, right? So but we'll get back to it next week. We got tomorrow. We got some wounds we'll have that we need to heal, and we'll get back at it tomorrow, and get ourselves ready. because again, this week's extremely, extremely, extremely important to our football team, and I understand that assignment.
Last question, Keith.
Coach, so we noticed this week where, especially in this game, it seemed like the defensive line was able to get a little more penetration. They looked better. Could you speak to just some of the work that's been going on in the trenches? We do notice with the offensive line struggle at times,
Yeah.
but could you speak to some of the work that's being done?
Well, you can't harp on. We got a couple guys that aren't playing for us right now defensively, and you got a lot of guys that are just on the defensive front. We're playing a bunch of guys trying to get different things from those different players, and they're going to work. We put a lot of pressure on them to make sure we stop the run. And Mosley obviously is one of the best backs in the country, not just in HBC, not just in the HBCU landscape. He's one of the best in the nation. So for the most part, I thought we did a good job holding them up, and they did a good job. But when you talk to Cam Donald, you talk to Antonio Cameron, James Gardner, those kind of guys. I mean, they also look at the scoreboard. Those guys have been around long enough. They look at the scoreboard. No matter how well they play, they look at the bottom line. So those are guys that aren't happy with the bottom line, regardless of how many tackles or tackles for loss that they may have. So I think they've been doing a good job. Coach Walker, Coach St. John have really, really harped on them guys playing hard and playing low, especially because the guys that we don't have, that we haven't, we had some guys that were supposed to be with us that was supposed to be some of the best in the country, and right now they aren't. And so those other guys are playing hard and doing everything that we ask them to do.
Thank you, Coach.
Guys.